Good morning, Big Brother fans. It is Friday, July 25th, day 18. Yes, in the Big Brother house. Had to double check. And a new head of household. Eviction last night. Let's get through that stuff real quick. Possible noms, likely noms, with nominations happening later today. No out of the ordinary twists added. So we still have 2 powers remaining, neither of which I anticipate being used this week. So let's talk about it real quick. Last night's show, it was indeed the puzzle that I had mentioned in a brief podcast late yesterday, which we knew. I mean, it was the puzzle. And for a half a second, I thought maybe Adrian might not win it, but then he won easily. He won. I'm not sure who was in second place between Will and Amy, but it really doesn't matter because it came down to Will and Amy then for the vote. And in a very disappointing moment to me, the vote, there was no, Julie wants them to, or the production hopes they conspire once they realize who it's between. They've already made all these decisions now. They know who they're going to vote for when it comes down to 2. They kind of hope that they will go off and scurry off the corners, and they kind of did it last week, but this week, no, there was none of that. It was all basically hugs all around. We know who's going, and that person was Amy. The vote was 13-0. Even Rachel did not vote to keep Amy. You throw a hinky vote, somebody. If you're positive it's going to be 13-0, then throw a vote out there. Make people wonder. Just do it. Come on. And I sadly vote to evict. Now this is the thing that got in my head last night. I'm like, all right, who's the person that started that? Who started to I sadly vote? And part of me wants to go back to the old days and find the first person, at least in our recordings, that said I sadly vote. Because, I don't remember what season now they went to live votes. They used to do live votes for part of the season, and then they went to live votes all the time. But back in the early days, the votes were recorded the night before. And so, it was kind of all said and done, right? The voting was done the day before the show. And I don't know, maybe they were saying I sadly vote to evict back then. They probably were. But this whole I sadly vote to evict, it's just my eyes just can't roll far enough back in my head as they say it now. So Amy was sadly voted out 13-0. And that's the other thing. I sadly vote to evict, Amy. Hi, Mom, Dad. Hi, son. It's just like, don't say it. You don't mean it. You don't mean it. And Rachel kind of meant it. And Rachel mostly meant it because she was losing an ally, I think. It's like, yeah, well, that one's gone. I think Rachel felt like her game was slipping out of through her fingers last night on the show. But I think she's not even on the new head of household's radar, as far as I know, even though I saw a couple of online speculations that she might be. But let's get to that. Well, the show ended. The goodbye as well. The goodbye, once Amy was voted out, it was a solid 2 minutes before Julie came in and said, need you to exit, Amy. It was just uncomfortable watching. So we had 2 minutes of pre-vote uncomfortable watching, and we had 2 minutes of post-vote uncomfortable watching. They're really taking advantage of this live show concept. It's like, keep it moving. To have something happening, not just camera with no narration. But that's what it was. Feeds went down, or were down, after the show. They actually came back right at midnight Eastern time, right after the show ended on the West Coast, which apparently was probably fairly close to the end of the Power Veto or to the head household competition. So far, they haven't brought the feeds back for a short time between the show and the competition. That would be nice, but they didn't. So we instead have 3 hours and actually, 5 hours of no feeds when you count them before the show time. But the feeds came back, and it was very quickly obvious because in the bathroom standing was Lauren with the key around her neck. So Lauren is the new head of household. I have seen a couple of different reports. It was a watch or listen to a thing, and I think it was listen to audio clues and then do a quiz. And it sounds like a huge chunk of people went out the first question. I don't remember how many total rounds they did. This is all not terribly important. And it sounds like it came down to Lauren and Mickey at the very end. And I guess maybe Lauren felt unsafe with Mickey as head of household and so decided to not just throw it. And so Lauren won it, which is an interesting person because she's been kind of in the middle. So she's going to almost have to pick a side, as it were, or just make easy nominations and guess which way I think it's going. We think it's going. It is kind of difficult. It sucks to be head of household now because you have to make probably at minimum 4 nominations. I mean, 5 is this. Julie mentioned it being a record 5 nominations, but it's always 4 no matter what, right? Because if the power veto gets 1, that's your 4th person you have to put up. So that's just a lot. That really is a lot to try to navigate and to use pawns. You almost have to have 2 really, really solid targets versus before you could get away with 1 solid target and 1 maybe or 1 backdoor. Now you can't. Yeah. Anyways, it does increase the odds of the power veto being used, right? Because now you have 3 people potentially nominated that are winning it that are going to have to use it. So maybe that's one of the reasons they stuck it in there too, is that it does increase the odds of the power veto being used because the chances are higher that someone who's on the block is going to win it. Okay, so I watched a good chunk of the feeds, probably an hour and a half of the feeds after they came back on. Yeah, I did. I concentrated on Lauren though because Lauren had a long. She talked with people and then she talked with Vince alone for a second, and basically said, "I want to talk to you right now. No waiting around till tonight, later tonight. No waiting around till they had a household. I want to talk to you right now." And they went back into the train room, the bunk bed room, and started talking. Jimmy quickly tagged along and joined them, and under the thought of, oh, here's the first 2 head of households giving the new head of household advice, right? Of course, they talked about that. I think I didn't record. No, I didn't record that. I watched it. It was general advice about, the people are going to be in your ear. You're never going to get a break, yada, yada. And then finally Jimmy left, and it was just Vince and Lauren. And they talked for, again, a good 10 minutes or so. And Lauren got into the, here's what I'm looking at, or what do you think? And Vince is asking her, and Vince is telling her we're so much alike, and reaffirming their final 2. But the whole we're so much alike and we think alike, that's typical. That's one way to play the game, right? And there's lots of people that have done it. I specifically remember during Big Brother 15 that I watched Helen do it a lot. I may have been, you're leeching on to the person, I guess, kind of a thing. I don't know. Whatever works. If it works for Vince, it's a totally legit, valid strategy. And if it works, man. If it gets you $750,000, I really don't care what the strategy is if it wins it for you. So Vince and Lauren talked again for quite a chunk of time. I posted 8 videos. That's what I did. I recorded about 20 minutes, and I cut it up into 3-minute segments. And it was a total of 8 videos when all was said and done on my timeline. If you want to watch that discussion, if you missed it, there's a lot of worthless stuff in there, but it is not worth me editing it down to a 3-minute sound clip with the highlights. It's just like, nope, here it is. Here's the full on. You can watch it. You can watch the pauses. You can watch the things that are pointless, but you can watch it all. Lauren, first of all, said, Keanu seems like the easy one because everybody wants him out. And Vince is like, yep, that's a no-brainer. Keanu probably expects it. Everybody expects you to. Everybody will be happy if you put him up. So, yep, Keanu makes sense. And to be the target. And then Vince is like, I don't know, if you didn't know, Kelly volunteered to go up, and she may volunteer for you. I'm not saying she will for sure, but she might. And then later on, Jimmy came back in and said, by the way, Kelly just told me she thinks she's probably going up, so you probably would be able to get her to volunteer if you want. So it does sound like right now we already got 2 nominees. Lauren's probably going to put up Keanu and Kelly. So there you go. I can see a pattern here until one or both of them are gone. And then the third nominee is the one, banging my mic. The third nominee is the one that's possibly a bit more difficult for Lauren. Now, Lauren, and I want to set this up before I say it. So Lauren, the whole alliances, right? People were citing alliances last night when they were talking about this very heavily. So I guess we're finally into talking about named alliances. And one of the named alliances is The Bond. And The Bond, did it start out with Ava and Lauren saying it? I don't remember how but it is Ava, Lauren, Will, Zach, and Vince. Okay? I had to circle my house guest pictures to remember who's in these. This is like, okay, this is The Bond. So The Bond is an alliance that was formed, and it's formed to kind of offset other people. And I'm not even going to try, I think Morgan and Mickey may have been, and maybe Jimmy, and maybe Rachel, but anyone who's not in that group, right? So, the third nominee that Lauren tosses out is, I'm thinking about Will. Did I mention he's in The Bond? I'm thinking about Will because he just got a 13-0 vote, so he should be really safe. Yeah, you're nominating people in your alliance. Just I don't know, man. Part of Will's problem too, by the way, as someone else commented somewhere along the line, is that he goes to bed early. Man, you're missing a lot of discussions when you go to bed early. So the Bond did not have a meeting last night, at least not one with Will, because Will was sleeping. But Lauren also cited her reasoning to Vince was because she and Will have never talked game. Okay, you're in an alliance with somebody, you should be talking game with them at least a little bit. If you're going to be in an alliance, make time to talk a little bit of game, because if, from either side, Lauren says we've never talked game. Well, guess what? Will's going to say the same thing. I've never talked game with Lauren. Make that opportunity, make that time to talk game, even if it's just a cursory talk, so that the other person can't say we've never talked game. Because Lauren will probably use that as an excuse when she doesn't. Well, Will, we've never talked game, so I put you up. Ouch. So those were the 3 first initial names Lauren came up with, and they very likely could be the 3 that she goes with. But she did also, and in my eighth video of the 8 I posted was actually after a time gap, because Jimmy came in and Ava came in, and then they both left again, and Lauren was back talking with Vince again solo, and Lauren did bring up as a possible nominee Ashley, which Vince immediately was like, oh yes, that would be perfect. And that would be the perfect one to get rid of this week, because Ashley has my name in her mouth and has been telling me, and this is Vince talking, has been telling me that telling other people that I'm so good with people and I have a really good chance of winning. It's like, I don't need her around, blowing up my name to everybody else. So I don't know if that's going to go. It seems to me after I went to bed that Ashley's being very much, I want the safe nominees, or I want the easy stuff, and I don't want to make a big scene. So I don't know. I even saw someone suggest that Rachel might be a backup nominee. I don't know. I mean, that'd be interesting. I thought for sure Rachel was safe after watching Lauren and Vince talk to start with, but if she's actually considering Rachel, we have to get to Monday's Power Veto for that to even be potentially happening. But I I'd be fine with Rachel out of the house. She brings a lot. She knows how to do the show, but again, she's taking away from all these other people's potentials by being a two-time alumni in the show, an icon as it were. She's sucking the attention away from these other people. She's got her own wardrobe. It seems like coming in every week they bring in a bunch of more clothes for her to wear, which is totally not allowed in the Big Brother world for anybody else. There's no way you get what you get that you can stuff in a bag or a couple of suitcases. You get some stuff, but you don't get multiple gowns. And she has worn different things, I think, almost every single day. So, anyways, it's just a little annoyance with me. Again, it's nothing against Rachel. It's against any alumni coming back in the house with a bunch of newbies. That's just been my stance, and I'm going to stick to it. So if Rachel does happen to go up and get out, that would be fine with me, because that would open up things. And the other person that I said what I said last night, or at some point yesterday, was, I would be fine with any of these house guests staying this week. I get rid of Riley, and I'd be fine. I don't need Riley in the house. I don't feel he's contributing. I don't like some of the ways he treats specifically Kat, but other people, he's just not going to be. I don't know. I just don't. He could go, but he's not anywhere on Lauren's radar, so he's not going this week. So let's just not worry about that. But that's what I said. Everybody else can stay. They all bring something to the game. I enjoy watching all of them. The only person I don't really need to see any more of is Riley, personally. So there's that. Okay, so what else can I touch on here as I get close to needing to wrap it up? I'm looking at my I try to do a thing called BB27 in 300. I used to do in 140, and then I was 280 on Twitter, and now I'm in 300 on Blue Sky, because Blue Sky gives you 300 characters per post. And this is the one I did last night, and it simply says, what's going on, that Lauren's had a household, that Amy was evicted. The have-nots. Have-nots were assigned. Lauren was called to the diary room, and she came out, and they let us see it. There was a couple of cuts where we thought we weren't going to see it, but they let us see it. But she basically said the outgoing have-nots, which there's only 2 now since Amy's gone, get to name the new have-nots. So there's only 2 have-nots. So there was 4 the first week, 3 last week, and apparently 2 this week, which Rachel said week 1 that have-nots were only going to be 4 weeks, she thought. And I just thought, this is just, she doesn't know what she's talking about. But it really sounds like that may be the case. And someone on my timeline on Blue Sky pointed out the possibility that maybe they're going to do something with the have-not room after they get rid of have-nots, if they do after 4 weeks. Which would be fun if they do a twist or something, or they make it a solitary confinement room, or whatever they might do. Okay, I'm all fine. They'll have enough beds elsewhere that they can do something special with the room. That would be kind of cool and different if they do that. So, have-nots, Rachel picked Jimmy, or Mickey picked Jimmy, and Rachel picked Kat. But it sounded like that's who thought they were going to be have-nots anyway, so it wasn't a big surprise. I doubt they show it on TV, but they did do it. So they did it for us on the feeds, I suppose, maybe, because they don't show that stuff on the TV. Let's see. Yeah, that's about it for that, because I talked about the possible nominations, which was what nothing has really changed. There was talk about... let me finish. I did mention that after Vince and Lauren talked, Vince ended up in the gym with, I can't remember who all. I think Morgan was one of them, maybe Jimmy, Rachel ended up too, but I'm not sure who all was in the room when he started talking. But he started retelling some of his conversation with Lauren to some of these other people. Let's just stick with Morgan for now. I'm not sure who else was privy to it. But the point is, Vince is at least, at the very least, sharing some of that information with other people, which Lauren would probably be not happy that he's sharing some of the information he is. But that's what you got to do, right? You got to give everybody a little bit of something so that you think that you're working with them. So, thoughts as I try to wrap it up here. nominations today. We got lots of conversations to go on. I don't know what's going to happen as far as, if Lauren's going to change any kind of mind. I'm just looking. No, I don't think I have anything else as far as that goes. We've got, again, we'll have all kinds of Kiss the Rings with Lauren today. We'll have the Power Veto tomorrow. I'll talk to you before the Power Veto probably, so we'll fill you in on nominations tonight. Oh, the show with Taylor and Derek. I've already talked about it a little bit. They were on the show last night with Julie talking about it. Derek called it your one-stop shop. There was some kind of I don't know what there was, some online drama, I think, between Rachel's Brendan, and Derek. I think Big Brother 16 Derek, but I'm not even sure. That it could have been Derek from the cookout. I'm not sure who the drama was between, and I don't know why I cared, but there was some kind of drama going on, and I said, I don't know why. I don't care. I don't care about stuff that happens outside of the Big Brother house. There's just no point getting involved in that. Let it go. And so if you see something, I don't know anything about it. I couldn't figure it out, so I moved on. But Derek and Taylor talked about their show, which is tonight. We'll see. Taylor specifically said, I think it was Taylor that said, or maybe just said unseen footage. That just makes the hair stand up on the back of my neck, because, again, if they are keeping the feeds down to get exclusive footage for this show, that's going to annoy me, because they're claiming to be a show for the fans, but at the same time they're keeping us from seeing things, because no matter how much of this unseen footage they show us, they will have recorded probably 10 times as much to give us that bit. So we've lost what they don't consider important stuff to give us, 6 minutes of unseen footage. They've recorded an hour. And a lot of times there's a good information in the rest of that, in that 54 minutes. So that'll be my problem if indeed they are taking the feeds down intentionally to keep us from seeing stuff, to hold it back for a Friday night. We'll see what happens tonight. I'll watch the show. Some people are saying they're not going to watch it. I'll watch it. Oh, there was speculation online about they're having a special guest. I'm pretty darn sure that they said it was not an alumni. It was a super fan who watches the live feeds. They had put out a clip. Who did the clip? Oh, maybe Taylor did it. She had a picture of a frying pan. And there's speculation online that it might be Bobby Moynihan. Bobby Moynihan was on Saturday Night Live. There was talk that he might go on Celebrity Big Brother because he is a super fan of the show. So maybe he came in, I think it was Dingo that reminded, or someone online reminded, that he came in and did a banging pots and pans thing a couple of years ago. So it could be Bobby Moynihan. Could be the special guest. We'll see. I'll watch it. I'll let you know. We'll talk about it tomorrow. It is for DVR purposes. I looked. It is still being shown as a regular Big Brother episode, so it's just rolling right into my YouTube TV recordings, and my TiVo will record it as well. So for those of you that might think, oh, I got to set my recorder, nope, it's considered a Big Brother episode, so it'll just get recorded like with everything else. And now I am going. We'll talk to you guys later. Have a good Thursday. Or Thursday. I hope you had a good Thursday. Have a good Friday. Thank you to my patrons. Thank you to everyone else. And we'll talk to you tomorrow, most likely. Bye-bye.
At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Learn more at asuonline.asu.edu.